On the Spectrum, episode 8 with Robbie Elahi. Check it out. I'm gonna switch up the music too. Everybody, hello. We chill hopping it today. Everybody's ready. They hopped in quick today. Okay. They missed us.
Yay!
We're back, everybody. We're back.
Stephanie says, hey, we're excited. Awesome. We're excited too, boo. Glad
We are. We just got done talking about it. We missed it just as much as you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Vicky is not flying all over the place, and
seriously,
I ain't gonna lie, dog. You look tired the last time. Poor Vicky.
I was exhausted. Don't laugh at my pain, sir.
Oh, I feel you though. I know it. I know how it is.
Man, I was struggling.
I know you was. I know how it is. We'll let everybody get in.
Yeah.
You guys a couple more minutes to go around.
We'll get started in about 3 more minutes, you guys. Advisor Pool says Abdul try the grapefruit tacos. They are the best.
Look, okay, so FYI, I'm here in Dallas training a guy for the next. I'll be here for 4 weeks total. And so I got to the house. We didn't have anything to drink, no water, so I had to go to the grocery store. But he had the lime Topo Chicos. And when I tell you I got hooked, I'm hooked. I done bought like at least 30 of them since I've been here. So, but I will definitely try the grapefruit ones. Although I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of grapefruit, but I'll give it a try. I'm open to anything.
AKA, he's gonna buy a single bottle.
I'm gonna try if I don't like it. You know, it is what it is.
Lex said that's her favorite.
Say it again.
The lime or the grapefruit, Lex? Which one?
The lime. She says the lime.
Yeah.
Lime is her favorite. It's good. I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
It is good.
He said just by the pack.
Well, you know what though? I can't find them. I couldn't even find the lime ones. I went to a Kroger here. I couldn't even find any. The lime ones. I had to go to a different store to get them. So if they have them, I get them.
Hey, lovies, less than 2 minutes left, and then we're gonna get started.
That's coming from the soul. That's where the energy is coming from. It's coming from the soul.
Big Sean, what's up, man? Okay,
hey,
so
Sean.
Just to tell everybody, I went skydiving last week. I think it was Thursday, Friday. We went skydiving on Friday. Yo, when I tell you that was so dope, it was so dope. I ain't gonna lie. I recommend skydiving to anybody. If you get an opportunity, do it. Jump out of that plane. It's so fun. It doesn't feel, there's really nothing that I can describe to explain what it feels like, but it doesn't feel like a roller coaster. But I definitely recommend it. So if you ever get an opportunity, jump.
I agree. I have also gone skydiving. I went with my Uncle Ian, and it was, to this day, one of the best experiences of my life. There's just nothing quite like it.
Yep, I agree. It's awesome. And Sean did it. Sean was so scared. My dad was so scared, but he did it though. I ain't gonna lie, he did it. So check this out. We were all there, right? It was me, Sean, and Ty. We were all there in the jumping area, whatever. And so I had to go to the restroom real quick. I came back, and these niggas had decided that I was the one to jump out of the plane first. They were like, "Well, you got to jump out first." I'm like, "Dog."
Yeah.
So, but I did it though. It was fun. Good time.
The point is, Sean did it. No matter how he felt going
Sean
up.
did do it. He did do it. Kudos to him.
But Sean, don't even lie though. When you first get up there and they open the door and you just see nothing but clouds, it gets real.
He said He said I wasn't scared. I was learning. Oh, that man's lying. He was scared. I ain't gonna lie, but
Oh my goodness. Welcome, Joseph. Welcome, Elton. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And is our lovely guest in? I didn't see her in the chat.
I don't see her yet. We'll give her some time. Let me see.
Welcome, Hernandez. All right, guys, we're getting started in another minute.
Yeah, we'll give her some time. I think she has to get in.
Okay.
I think. Let's see.
Is anyone else having wine tonight, or is it just me?
Okay, she's in. I think she's in there. She might have got in early, but she's in there.
Okay.
All right, Miss Robbie, hold on. We'll get you in 1 second.
Yep.
But hold on, I got it. If I get an opportunity, I'm gonna send you the video of Sean. My dog didn't move. He was literally like this the whole time. He like the whole trip. So we got to record it, right? He was like this the whole time. My dog looked left. He looked right. It went right back to where it was.
You better leave. You better leave my friend Sean alone, okay?
That stuff was so funny, dog. I loved it though. That's my guy.
It's all right. It was the face of stoic heroism, Sean. It's all right. It's all right.
Hey, he did it though. Hey, kudos to him, man. He did it, and it was fun though. So we're gonna do it again.
But you know, Abdul, we gotta do it, and we gotta do it like something epic, right? Like over the blue hole of Belize or some shit.
Man, okay. So talking to the guy there, he said that you have to get these like 36 jumps in. Like you have to do a tandem 36 times. And then after that 36th one, you can jump by yourself, and you have to go through all these other ones where they teach you how to like barrel roll and all that stuff. And then once you do that, he says I forgot how many hours it is you have to clear. Then you can go by yourself anywhere in the world for $30. He said. So
amazing.
I'm like, yo, I got to do that. So just to get licensed and make it happen.
And Stephanie agreed. She said yes, no tandem.
Right. If I get the chance, I'll go by myself. They ain't let me, but trust me, I want to.
Okay. And is she in?
She said she was in. Yeah, she did send a request. She's in there. She just, once we bring her on, or once I accept the request, would be good.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started, lovies. Thank you for sitting tight. Welcome back after our little break. We are so glad you guys missed us. We definitely missed you too. We're very happy to be back on schedule. So, episode number 8 on thank you, Abdul. On the spectrum, talking about breakups. Yeah. And this subject, it actually wasn't the next one in line, but it's one that I wanted to do because I personally know like 4 different people who are going through various stages of breakup, from the most messy beginning part to they've been recently separated, and so they're going through all the anguish and the pains of now my life is different on the day-to-day, to it's been a while and I haven't found something or someone better, so maybe I'm having regret, maybe I should go back. Very interesting conversations over the last couple of weeks. So I told Abdul, I'm like, we need to talk about it.
Yes.
And of course, I'm not going to name drop any specific people. I'm just letting you know this is something that's affecting me and close to my heart because I love my friends. And so I figured maybe this is a good way to help, is just to have an honest dialogue about the process of breaking up, why we go through this, because we've all been through it, and what are some things we should be talking about instead of the more negative, toxic, revenge and vindictiveness.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think that just to kind of add to that, breakups, and we'll get into it. Breakups for me have kind of been a big point of learning for myself, and so I know how much it is for anybody else. In my studies and in me trying to put together the program that I've mentioned before on here, I've noticed that for men, boys, one of their biggest challenges is women. And so being in a relationship versus not, versus breakup, etc., is a big point. So definitely something I'm interested in as well.
Absolutely. So Abdul, can you share with us a little bit about tonight's special guest?
Yes. So her name is Rabia. I do not want to butcher her last name. I apologize, but her name is Rabia. She is my personal therapist. I've been seeing her for some time now. She's helped me out through a lot, breakups, family trauma, you name it. And so I love her dearly, tremendously. She gives great insight. What I do appreciate about her is she is very familiar with and appreciates the esoteric side of the individual. She doesn't just, tackle the scientific, trauma that you have, etc. But she also, acknowledges and works with energy, where you're at. She even talks about chakras, the whole nine. But some people aren't a fan of that, but I appreciate it because it is an aspect of who I am. So, yeah, love her dearly. She's awesome.
Perfect. Awesome. So tonight's questions, I wanted to ask the first few questions from a more clinical standpoint, and then we're going to shift and dive into a more personal aspect with her sharing her own personal experiences with her life.
Yep.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring in our guest.
We sent the request. She should be joining us shortly.
All right. Awesome. And welcome, Ricky.
Here we are.
Hey.
Miss Rabia.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for having me on such
You're
an
so
important
welcome.
topic.
Yes.
Did you bring your wine?
No, I see this.
Hey,
myself a little drink.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Adore, we are such a bad influence.
We are. We're just getting everybody to drink on the show.
I don't drink during the week, but for the two of you, I made a special exception.
Hey, we'll take it. All right. So we're going to hop right into it. Is there anything you'd like to add as far as introducing yourself to the audience tonight? Just a little bit about your background.
A little bit about my background. I actually trained in couples and family therapy because it sort of fit my concept of us all being a part of systems. So like we are all a part of a system, different systems. And couples and family therapy was specific to that. And it is my second career. I was in the corporate world for about 12 years. Didn't feel like I was making any kind of a difference. So psychology and growth and reflection, all of that was so interesting to me that that's what I really cared about. How people think, what makes them do what they do, what makes me do what I do. So it's not just, it was for me as much as it was for wanting to help other people.
Of course.
Huge. Yeah. And you're very good at it, might I add. So kudos to you.
Thank you very much. I'll pay you later.
There you go.
All right. So we're going to hop right into it. First question of the night. In your opinion, what is causing the dissatisfaction in modern relationships?
What I have found is that we don't know what is our expectations cause so much dissatisfaction because we want everything in a partner. We want the romantic relationship to meet all of our needs, and we stop developing ourselves separate from the relationship. And then if you just take social media, the power of being able to date anyone in your phone at any time, there's not this sort of sense of safety and security, maybe a sense of commitment and working on stuff.
That's true.
So yeah, and the gender roles, you know, women are really coming into our power and announcing it. And I think it puts men of this generation, it's hard for them to know what's my place. You know, am I like He-Man, provider, protector? Am I like your best girlfriend? You know, do we go shopping together?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It just is a very confusing time because we're in a shift.
Yes.
We're shifting from traditional to a modern way, more equal and collaborative. And so we're going through all the growth pains
Yes.
of the switch.
Couldn't be
Gotcha.
any more truer. I totally 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. And so you spoke on traditional roles. So swinging off of that, do you feel that our grandparents' generation were happier?
You know, I've been thinking about this. I don't think they expected happiness. Like that wasn't, I mean, okay, if you're happy, yay, that's like a icing on the cake. But the mindset wasn't about being happy. It was about making a family and fitting in with community expectations, maybe religious expectations, family expectations.
Right.
So the concept of wanting to be happy is new.
Right.
So
Right.
Vicky actually asked me, we do a pre-show, so on the pre-show, she asked me a question. Sorry, Vicky, I'm going to just chime in and throw it out there. But she asked me, she's like, are you interested in getting married? And you know, I told her, I was like, honestly, I go back and forth. One day I do, the next day I don't. 1 month I do, the next month I don't. But what I told her was that specific thing. From what I feel, majority of people nowadays don't look at marriage or relationship as like a duty, as like a responsibility.
Yeah.
It's more of like, what can I get out of this? What are you going to do for me? How are you going to make me happy? Versus it being, okay, this is what I need to do. This is my responsibility. And like you said, happiness is a new thing. It's more about, okay, what do I need to take care of? And so I appreciated you saying that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely have noticed the shift away from duty as far as the foundation of marriage and what it was for, into something that's honestly kind of unrecognizable, where, like you said, Abdul, it's about, what have you done for me? What have you done for me lately? What can I get out of this and then once you're not useful anymore, annulment, you know, throw it away.
Of course, yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
You know, I do think, I think Western culture has gotten really good at the idea of disposable, you know, and quantity, and maybe we've forgotten how to be disciplined in our own behavior, you know, and expect a lot from others, whoever we're dating, maybe not thinking of, okay, well, what am I bringing to the table? You know, what am I willing to do? How do I love that person? You know?
Amen.
Absolutely. And so what role do you feel trauma plays in modern relationships?
I think trauma is one of the biggest things in a relationship. And why I say that is that when we go through trauma, often it's when we're kids. So this is not just like if you went and fought overseas or in a war type situation. But when we grow up with trauma, maybe not peaceful homes, maybe there was violence, maybe there was a lot of corporal punishment, maybe there were really high expectations, or maybe you're responsible for taking care of the adults' feelings and meeting their needs. All of those things lead to trauma because our brain doesn't get nurtured in this like soup of love, you know, and we don't get seen and known by the people who are supposed to see and know us, you know, our parents, teachers, maybe. I think we don't really live in a village anymore. Like there's a village. And so, you know, if you get beat up at home, where do you go? It's not like grandmother or auntie, you know, are right there and they can come in and kind of make up for some of the nurturing.
Yes.
And so we have these unhealed chunks of pain, you know, maybe sometimes they're mountains, but we don't know about it. And so our emotions, we don't know how to regulate it because we don't even know what's normal. You know, we don't know what's peaceful. What is peace? What is ease? What is it like to not have to wonder where your partner is? You know, who's he talking to? What's he doing on the phone? What's she doing on the phone? What about Instagram? You know, and so there are all these insecurities and fears, and when we come from pain, that is what we know.
Yeah.
And we may not date someone who's healthy because we think pain is what feels like home.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it feels good. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a question, Rabia, and it's two-parted. What do you feel is the major concern with women in breakups, and what do you feel is a major concern with men, or are they one and the same in your experience?
Usually for both, Abdul, it's about rejection. You know, it's about what's missing. How am I not enough?
Yeah.
And it may present differently, right? So a woman's going to go into, and I'm talking about heterosexual relationships. A woman may go into, oh, well, have I gained weight? Was I, you know, is he not attracted to me? But a lot of it is focused on the physical attractiveness. And for men, it's like, oh, well, was I not doing enough? Like as far as financially or, you know, being insecure about their careers or earning potentials. And maybe that's what they're being judged on. And it's not that they're not. Men are judged on their financial success.
Whew.
Just
Amen.
like women are judged. Well, I mean, women are judged on our looks. We know that we're being seen for the outside. Later comes the inside.
Right.
You know.
That makes perfect sense.
The
I saw something today on Instagram. It was a lady, she was on the Breakfast Club, and she was basically saying that if, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she said if I'm coming home to create, if I'm gonna create a home, a peaceful place, a sanctuary for him to come home to, she said she should not have to pay a bill. And partly I agree with that, but at the same time, it just goes to show what men are being judged off of. What can you do for me? How can you provide in this capitalistic society, which I don't like. But you know, it's tough for. And to your previous point, like, what do men do? Are we really just here for a check? Do we just pay the bills and that's it? And then how can we take care of our emotional needs in the process? So a lot there, but it's pertinent.
Well, you know, it's not fair, I think, to the men that are judged by you, because we know making money is also about opportunity and access.
Of course.
and environment and all of that. And so to be judged based on just that part of you isn't fair,
Right.
you know? And what I will tell you, I've been seeing there's so many women that are like driven and successful. That has become tough for men to deal with if the women are maybe more out there, more ambitious, more successful than they are.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, do you feel that I can see that being an insecurity for men, right? From my specific position, from a black man's perspective, like you said, opportunity and access doesn't come easy for us, right? There's a very small percentage of us that live well over the means of $100,000 a year. So,
Yeah.
and in all honesty, if we really want to have that conversation, it's kind of designed that way. And very difficult for a black man to find himself outside of that realm.
Yeah.
Do you see that as being the major issue with black men, as they feel very emasculated by their inability to gain a certain amount of money?
I do. I think a black man, every time he leaves his house, experiences fear and judgment. And I think what it does to us. So when I think of that, and it's not like I know what a black man feels like.
Right, of course.
I do know what I feel like if I have to walk outside my door and it's dark and there's no one around and I'm scared. And what if I live that every single day? The entire day I'm worried, you know. So how loving can I be? You know, how can I take a meeting at work and not be in fight or flight on some level, you know?
Yes.
So it's, there's so much shit actually that I think people of color have to deal with, and black men especially. And we know that now, you know. Whoever didn't know it knows it now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And let me read some of these comments.
Sure.
Advising Quote says social media is horrible for a relationship. I don't care how faithful or how in love you are. Lex said, ooh, that's good stuff. My mom says great conversation, good conversation. I believe that every woman needs to have her own period. Catherine says, well said. And a question I want to pose to the men in the chat room: how do you feel about women essentially saying, in order for me to bring this femininity into the relationship, in order to bring this nurturing and caring and love and just you know, the feminine essence, you need to be paying all the bills? How does that make y'all feel? I would love to see what you have to say in the chat room.
Well, if I may, as a man,
Yes.
You know, I don't have a problem providing. I think that as a man, I take pride in that, right? I have children. And one of the things I like to pride myself on is providing for them, protecting them, leading them, right? I take honor in that. And so if I take on a woman, I see it as a responsibility, like we mentioned earlier. And that responsibility is for me to provide. Now, obviously, in the early stages, I'm not paying your bills. It's just not going to happen until, you know, we get into a legitimate commitment. But I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Now, if we go into the relationship and this is your expectation off a jump, and you know, there's not any assistance there, especially if you're dating a black man, knowing his access and his limited opportunities, then I see that as spoil. I see it as, okay, you're not in the right mind frame or mindset to take on me as a responsibility on your end, as like we talked about, like a duty. And so if you can't see that, if you can't do that, if you can't come into the relationship saying, okay, how can I assist you? And then once, as an example, let's say you have a child, right? And I think, Robbie, you and I talked about this at one point. When a woman is pregnant, that's when she's her most vulnerable. And so my responsibility is to protect you, right? Now, at that point, provision is also goes along with protection. But if you can't bring that energy up front that, hey, we're a team, then for the long haul, provision is not something I'm looking for with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, Rabia, going back to you, what would you say are some non-negotiables in a relationship that warrant like immediate separation? What would you say those things are?
Um, Physical threat, or especially if I have kids. If someone has kids in the house and their safety is threatened or your safety is threatened, even
Mm-hmm.
without kids,
Right.
I think that is
Right.
a good, really good timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can figure out what's really going on, if it's someone you love, maybe he or she needs help,
Mhm.
and so I'm not like just abandon that person, but I think it's important to be safe,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to add on that, Abdul?
Um, no, I think she's right. One of the questions I did have, which is kind of similar, which was, when is a good time to break up? You know,
Hmm.
that's it. Because we're on that topic, we are saying, it's too easy for people to break up nowadays. But
Yeah.
when is a good time? So
Yeah.
when your safety is threatened, maybe that's on a continuous basis. Maybe that's time to exit.
Yes.
My question, Robbie, is what else have you seen that means it's a good time to part ways?
So I've seen like uh emotional neglect. I think
Mhm.
that is not good.
Right.
I've seen verbal abuse.
Mm.
I've seen financial abuse,
Mm.
Right.
freedom abuse. No, you can't go out with your friends. What are
Yeah.
you doing? And
Mhm.
these are like when they're constant. It's really hard just to, if you love someone, to leave at the first um, incident, maybe,
Hmm. Yeah.
Of course.
unless they get
Of
out a
course. 'Cause
gun and shoot you or something. You know what? I mean, reasonably.
Right. Of course.
And
right.
but it's when your partner is when you feel less than all the time
Mm.
with your
Mm.
partner, or you're
Mm.
always insecure,
Right.
and there's
Mhm.
not this sort of, let's work on this, like how can we as a team
Hmm.
deal with this. But if you're alone in a relationship, why are you doing it?
Facts.
You're not available
Exactly.
for anyone else,
That's a
you
great.
know.
That's a great.
Exactly.
That's a great.
Absolutely.
One of my
Absolutely.
clients, I thought this was beautiful. He said that what he's now looking for is a sense of peace when he's with that person.
Mm.
And I thought, oh, yes, that's what it is, right? You want to feel at peace in your heart, in your system, at home, when you're at work. You just want to have peace in the relationship.
I love that.
And
Yes.
yeah, I loved
So,
it.
so to help the people out there, is
Hmm.
peace happiness?
Hmm.
Is happiness peace?
I Happiness is fleeting. I think we can
Mhm.
maintain peace
Yes.
um,
Love that.
by being accountable and responsible and upfront, being honest and holding up our end of things.
Hmm.
Because when we do the right thing, there is a peace in that,
Yes.
even if
Mhm.
you don't get treated back the same way. But
Yeah.
knowing you're doing your part, keeping your side of the street clean,
Yes.
there's a peace that comes with that. It may not be happy, but it's peace.
Yes. And so I don't like I don't like when people conflate happiness and peace,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Happiness,
yeah.
like you mentioned, I just want to rewind that is fleeting. That feeling,
Fleeting.
that
Yes.
fluttery feeling, it goes. And I see so many people talk about this, especially on social media. If that person don't bring you happiness, get out. If that person ain't,
Yep.
blah, blah,
Yep.
do all that,
Yes.
right? That's not what it
Mhm.
is. If you can find peace with that individual, we may disagree. I may not always
Yep.
see what you see, and we don't agree.
Hmm.
Fine, but if we can disagree in a peaceful setting, in home,
Hmm.
in our house
Hmm.
together, or wherever we're at, we can come
Yep.
back together at some point and clean it up. That's peace. That's what we're looking for. I
Yes.
think that's what
Mhm.
people miss about relationships, and everybody's just so on the happiness tip.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Happiness, like who knows what it really is, you know? Maybe we have moments of it. I think joy is different. I think having a sense of meaning and purpose are
Mm-hmm.
maybe deeper than just being happy, you know,
Hmm.
feeling that your life means something
Yes.
and you're doing something in the world, you know. I think those feelings are deeper than happiness.
Yeah. I agree.
Um,
Absolutely.
we don't even know what happiness is. What, so many likes? You
It
know, oh, I have this
changes.
many followers. Oh, here's my bank account.
Yes.
I'm really happy. You know, treat me like shit.
Exactly.
But
Look at my red bottoms. Look at the
yeah,
5-star restaurant I'm at tonight. We don't know what the hell it is. It's
Amen.
subjective. It
no,
changes throughout our whole life.
Amen.
But with that
yeah.
being said, we're gonna switch gears, and I'd like to discuss more of your personal life
Oh
since
gosh.
you are willing to share. And hopefully, in the chat room, they can ask some of these reflective questions to themselves at the same time you're answering. So, to start off, share with us your worst breakup story.
Okay. So when I knew the theme today was breakup, I was thinking, how do I narrow it down to just one horrible breakup?
Yeah.
Like that was my challenge, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
And I will tell you, most of my breakups were pretty horrible. As in, what?
Really?
To, sorry, do you want me to continue?
Yes. Go
Oh,
for it.
yes, of
Go for it.
course.
Yeah. Uh, I come from a culture that's very focused on getting married and having kids.
Mhm.
And I think women in general are conditioned to um, feel that their worth is connected to being in a relationship, you know, being picked, being chosen. And we may be shooting for marriage not because that's the right person for us, but because that's what we're supposed to do. It
Mhm.
fits. If we, our sense of worth, like maybe we're worth something if we're married and we're not when we're single. Um, I can't speak for men, but I do know that for women, that there's so much pressure. And so not only did I come from a culture
Mhm.
that was that way, but it was all around me. All my friends, you know, from high school were married in their early 20s
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
having kids. And so I was dating with the wrong purpose
Mhm.
and not paying attention to what was real,
Right.
if
Right.
that makes sense.
Makes perfect
And
sense.
Yes.
so if I got cheated on, if I, you know, yeah, actually, it was usually infidelity
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
that would do it.
Damn.
And
Mhm.
I think, oh, here's a memory. Okay. So I had this boyfriend starting in high school. We dated like 4.5 years. And I was at college at U of H. And it was the day before final exams. And a girl I went to high school with was also there. And she said, oh, she's talking to me. And she goes, you know, with named my boyfriend, who I thought was my boyfriend. She goes, you know, him and his girlfriend. And I'm like, what? He has a girlfriend? I'm his girlfriend.
Oh shoot.
And
Oh.
so um, it was horrible. Like, I think I flunked my finals the next day because I couldn't
Mm.
wrap my mind around. Everyone knew there was this other girlfriend, but here I was, you know, doop
Mm.
doop doop doop, just kind of
Damn.
chucking
Yeah.
along, you know, thinking I had this. So that was rough,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
understand.
Man.
that
Those,
was rough.
those betrayals are always tough. That's hard.
Betrayal is
Man.
really,
And Ray
and
Trill Harvey says he's been there, so
Yeah.
you're speaking to some people in the chat
yeah.
for sure.
They've been there.
I will say, Abdul, when you said betrayal, the hardest part is when we betray ourselves, you
Yes.
know, when we do have red flags and we don't listen,
Amen.
um,
Amen.
when we try to contort ourselves to fit what someone else wants, even if
Mhm.
that's not our truth. you know?
Amen. Amen.
And so then there's all this self-betrayal, that
Amen.
goes on.
Vicky asked me in the pre-show, what did I'm sorry, Vicky, I know you wanted to ask this question, but I'm just gonna go ahead. She asked me what have I learned from breakups in relationships, and I felt that was a really interesting question to ask, because everyone was obviously different. One of the last ones that I had, I likened it to a woman who's pregnant. If she works out while she's pregnant, then the pregnancy is a lot easier. And so if you do the things to take care of yourself inside of a relationship, that the relationship post or the breakup tends to be a lot easier if you just kind of stay on track with what it is you're doing to take care of yourself. But if you lose yourself in the process, stop. Like for me specifically, I got to do Tai Chi. I got to go to the beach. I got to read. I got to journal. I got to do these things. And if I stay consistent with them throughout the relationship, then I'm good if it ends, because I have that muscle memory to kind of get back into dealing with myself and my emotions a lot better.
Well, you didn't betray yourself. You didn't leave yourself, right?
But there have been but there were instances where I didn't do that, and so I found myself as the relationship ended just in shambles, completely broken, because I have a propensity to do this at times. If I get in relationships, I'll tend to take on the characteristics of that individual. Well, I did at the time, before I kind of figured out how to take care of myself. And I think a lot of people have done that, in relationships. They lose themselves completely, stop doing the things that they need to take care of themselves. And then when it's over, they don't know what to do. So.
Right. Agreed.
Which lends to a point. I was doing some research. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll shut up. But I was doing some research as to why men nowadays, men are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide. And I wanted to understand why they committed suicide. And breakups was the number one reason. And I've seen, especially today, and I can't figure out why why they're losing themselves in relationships to the point to where they want to end it, to where they don't want to exist anymore. And it's not like, what is that? And I haven't found an answer for that, but I do want to do some research into understanding why that is. If you could, maybe give us your perspective and opinion on why that is.
I think men are more successful at suicide because they pick more violent ways,
Okay.
It may not be just taking pills. It might be driving, getting in, running into something, or using a gun, or hanging, or jumping off of a bridge. Like things that it's really difficult to survive those types of attempts.
Right.
But I tell you, I think the constraints we've put on men and their right to have their feelings, to be in their feelings, to not be judged as weak or whatever, that if men could own that they have the right to have their feelings and talk about their feelings, maybe it wouldn't get to that point, because in a way, women are lucky. We can talk feelings with our girlfriends, and we get sort of nurtured and fed that way, but men, I don't think, get that.
No.
Or it's rare.
We don't get that.
Yeah.
We don't get that.
And I will tell
have
you,
some of my male friends in the chat who allow me to ramble and be such a girl, and I also allow y'all to talk. Shout out Ricky, but thank y'all, and please know that you are welcome to your feelings, and if you need to vent and express what you think, then I'm here.
Well, I have a question along that line. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking about, but is there this unspoken underlying, a woman would lose respect for a man if he shows and talks about his emotions? Because I have experienced this before, right? Where, I'm just talking about my emotions, expressing it. and there was a, the response was kind of like disgusted at the fact
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
had these emotions. And I think it for her, from what she expressed, it gave her this feeling as if I couldn't protect her, I couldn't take care of her if
Yeah.
I had these these
Because
emotions that are
because like you weren't stoic all the time.
yeah. And I have literally had conversations with women before where I remember talking recently to a woman. She'd been married for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and her husband's a lawyer, and he's extremely stoic. And she expressed that, that their relationship lacked in other areas, but she felt extremely safe because he was that stoic. Now I asked her, I said, what would happen if he didn't, if he wasn't that stoic, if he expressed to you some emotions, if he showed you, hey, I'm vulnerable today, I'm hurt, I even feel sad. Like, how would that make you feel? She expressed to me that she would feel rattled, that she would feel, not as trusting in him. And that
Yeah.
kind of, it shocked me a little bit, because I'm like, wow, what are we doing nowadays, where we literally look at men and say, you can't have these emotions, or else I can't trust you. I can't see you as
Right.
an individual that I can lean on.
Right.
That was hard for me to hear.
Well,
That's crazy, because I feel the opposite. I feel like if we can't see any emotion from the man ever, and you're just stoic all the time, I have no clue
Mm-hmm.
what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Like,
Yeah.
you could be looking at me and imagining 1,000 ways to kill me. I wouldn't know. You're always stoic all the time. Like, show me something. I don't know. Get mad. Jab him in the throat right quick. Get mad. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 1,000 ways to kill me is oh my God.
I'm sorry. I watched too many horror movies. Go ahead.
No. I do think, this transition we're in, where we're learning slowly that vulnerability is really strength, Thank you, Brene Brown. We're learning that vulnerability is strength, but everyone has to get used to what that looks like. And not everyone buys into crying or sadness is a sign of strength, So we judge these emotions as weak.
Yeah.
And those are social constructs, I do think, like in caveman days, the male couldn't afford to have feelings because he had to go out and hunt and kill, but we know now that stoicism is it's great to access it when you need it, but it's not like the default way of being.
Okay. So here I am as a Black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
There have been instances in business. I'm an entrepreneur. There have been instances before where I have gotten my feelings hurt because here I am presenting an idea that I feel very passionately about, right? And I can't even get an individual to look me in the eye, look at me, period, right? And that speaks to how they see me as a human being. Now, like I played football. And so, when you're a defensive back, I was a defensive back. When you're a defensive back, the one thing they tell you is to have a short memory, right? Which kind of is having that stoicness, right? And what is capitalism today kind of requires you to have this, all right, fine, I just got to chuck it up to the next, the next business opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Short memory. How do I, it's hard for me to go home, right, with a woman who is now working in that same capitalism, who has to have the same ideology. She's looking at me, and obviously she's on social media. She sees the quotes that Dame Dash is saying, and Diddy and Jay-Z, just get up and make it happen, do it. But I want to come home and I'm broken because this individual didn't even see me as a human, right? And so I agree. Stoicism has it's run its course. We don't necessarily need it anymore. But damn, like I kind of need it though. And where do I go without this? It's kind of dilemma.
Without the emotional support or the stoicism?
Both. I need it in order to survive, to be able to provide and protect my family. And at the same time, it's killing me, literally, to continue this. And I have to show that to a woman who obviously believes in this way of living at home too. I have to exemplify this.
Yeah.
There were countless times when I was in a relationship, I had to go in the bathroom and in the shower let it out, because no way could I come out and could I show that I didn't have this together, that I didn't know tomorrow we were going to hit this business deal was going to get done and rent was going to get paid and we were going to have money for food, right? That's the predicament I'm in.
Abdul, did she know, said woman, did she know that you felt this way? Or did she have an opportunity to be nurturing towards you? Did you open up to her?
Yes, that was one of the instances where she had reflected that me expressing my emotions was weak, in a sense. I remember a woman telling me once me wearing my glasses made me look weak. and right. And so those were some of the things, obviously, that but I say that because on her behalf, she was an entrepreneur as well. And so, you know, she kind of had to carry a little bit of that too. And as a Black woman, she had to carry that. So, you know, I couldn't come home and be like, damn, like this really hurt my feelings today. Like I was really looking forward to this deal, but it didn't happen. And here we are. But she had to do the same thing in her field. So that was the predicament that I was in. But I see it so much, though, and having conversations with my other male friends, they experience the same thing.
Okay. So, Rabia, going back to you, when you think about some of your more recent breakups, do you feel that you took responsibility for your share of the problems?
You know, I did. I will give myself that credit. And this is even before I was a therapist, because I've been married since I've been a therapist. But yeah, well, to myself, I took responsibility. Did I tell him? No, I did not. I had to maintain my own ego, you know, and I didn't want to admit, but I've been so incredibly stupid in relationships, you know, and have been fortunate enough to have the mindset of, I'm not going to do this again, so what's going to be different, you know? And so maybe that was a saving grace, but I've done dumb shit, you know, like
we
most
all have.
people. Yeah.
We've
all been there, trust me.
Yeah. We're just kind of stumbling along, you know.
Yes.
Working out our childhood issues.
I agree.
What about you,
Sorry,
Abdul?
I think I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
Oh, no, you're good. What about you, Abdul?
Well, repeat it. I apologize. What was it?
Did you take responsibility for your share of the problems?
You know, I tend to do this in relationships. Yes, I did, but it was kind of a little too late. I didn't really recognize it. You know, there were some things, and I mentioned this before, like I recently found out I had borderline personality disorder. So there were some things inside the relationship I didn't know I was doing, and then I didn't know what was going on with what I had. And so now that I know, yeah, I can take responsibility for it, but you know, it's kind of a little too late at that point.
Yeah. Okay. And I see in the chat here, let me read a few of these comments. Let's see. So Lex said, instead we fall in love with the representative and are shocked when their true selves appear. Yikes.
Oh, that's so good.
Ray Trill says, I've noticed in my circle of friends, there tends to be a lot of clowning when men show their feelings. I have noticed that too.
Yeah.
Mom says, breakups taught me that I'm stronger than I thought, but learning myself and learning what I want and don't want went a long way to picking better people.
True.
And then, and then Ray adds on, like, if a man shows his emotions, the circle will clown them, making them feel like they can't.
Yeah. I know we've harped on that, but I know it really is a dilemma with men. I know that we struggle in having conversations with them. Me being vulnerable has given men an opportunity in my circle to be vulnerable as well. And so what I know they struggle with their significant others is being vulnerable and saying I'm hurt
Yeah.
or I'm scared or
Yeah.
those things are difficult for men to express and talk about because, you know, we do risk the chance of our significant other losing trust in us, losing faith in us, and losing a little bit of that security. But what I will say to the men, I know we kind of say that for the end of the show, but what I will say is, hey man, if they can't accept your vulnerability, that like we asked the question, when is a good time to leave? That may
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a good opportunity for you to kind of get out, because if they can't accept you with that vulnerability as a human being, especially in today's world, especially if you're a black man, you might need to go, fam. You might need to keep it stepping. So,
the thing I want to add to that, Abdul, is that sorry, I totally lost my thought. It's my drink. Oh, here's.
We are
Sorry.
a bad influence. It's us. Oh my God.
I apologize for nothing.
Oh man.
Well,
That's
I was going to
amazing.
talk. No, 2 points. I remember now. I snapped. Anger is the one emotion men are allowed to show.
Yeah.
And it's so restrictive, you know, and if that's all they're allowed to show, they might come home hurt, afraid, whatever, but be angry at home. So what the home experiences is misplaced emotion, you know, because anger is what is acceptable, you know, for men.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think I would ask women to please put on the lens of patriarchy and the colonized mind in the way they see how men should be and how they should be. Because so much of it is, we were taught this by the colonizers, oppressors, you know. It was a one-up type of game, and the hustle and the winning and the, you know, I'm better than you, or don't get ahead of me. That's I would like for women to also be more sensitive to how they're viewing men.
Yes.
With what lens, and for men to pay attention to, are they showing anger at home when it's not really about anger?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, patriarchy is not just a one-way street.
No.
Although there are benefits to men, it also affects men as well, right?
Yeah.
And I can attest to that as a man. I have, and as you said it, I thought about it. I felt extremely comfortable being angry. Matter of fact, with that same girl that I was speaking about, in times where I knew I was just sad and I probably just wanted a hug and to be held, I expressed anger because it was accepted.
Yeah.
And she accepted it as well. So 100%, I totally relate to that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
looking past the anger is important.
Yes, I agree. I concur.
I love that. Well, lovely. Those were all the questions I had for you this evening. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us and let us evilly influence you to do it.
No,
We're gonna move. Go ahead.
This was so fun. It was just, y'all are great. I think what you're doing, the conversations are so good.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
so
you.
helpful.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
You.
We do. We definitely appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Rabia, we appreciate you for your time. Again, if you want to, you can kind of let the people know exactly where they can reach you if they need your services, the whole nine. Give it to
them. Oh gosh. Yes. So basically, just DM me on Instagram, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely.
So I
And
guess my at Rabia Elahi shows up.
yes, I'll be sure to
Oh,
put
my
it.
last name.
Yes, how do you say your
My
last name?
last name is pronounced Elahi,
Elahi. Got you.
Ilahi.
like
That's
Hawaii.
beautiful.
Hawaii. Elahi.
Elahi.
Got
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Ilahi. That's
yeah.
beautiful. All
Perfect.
right. Well, thank you so
Right.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rabia.
How do I?
You can just click the
Press the
X
X. Yeah.
in the upper corner.
There she go.
And so moving into our solutions portion, it's not so much solutions, but it's questions that I want you guys to think about if you are currently going through this. Like I said, there are currently 4 people in my life right now that I know that are going through the various stages of it. So a couple of questions to just think about tonight. Number 1, why do I want to break up with this person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great question.
Great question. Honestly, ask yourself, even if you have to get out a notepad and a pen and just start scribbling away,
Mm-hmm.
I still do that. I still love putting pen to paper.
Great question.
Number 2, is there trauma I need to heal from? So ask yourself that question and see if that could be influencing why you're feeling the way you're feeling at this point in your relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Number 3, is there a way to work out the issues in the relationship? Now, of course, I agree with Rabia, physical violence, drug abuse,
Emotional.
gambling problems,
Right.
child abuse, all that kind of stuff, that is a no-go.
Right.
So those are not things that you need to be working through.
Right.
But if it's not anything super extreme, can you work through it?
I concur.
Number 5, will I regret this decision? I want you to really think about that as well.
I agree.
And then also think about, what will my life be like post breakup?
Right.
Because this is something a lot of people make, these emotional decisions, and they don't really think about what comes after this big explosion.
Right.
They don't realize, oh shit, now I don't have help with this. Now I don't. And I'm not saying you should stay in a relationship just for that, but I just want you to really consider all the ways that your life is going to change when you no longer have this person.
Absolutely. 100%.
And then the last question, if you've made it through all those questions and you're still like, no, cut it.
Yeah.
Then I want you to think about how you're going to do it. Because I have heard some horrendous stories about people being broken up through a text message, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I've never been broken up with through a text message, but I can imagine how callous and like cold-hearted this would make the person feel. So that's another thing to consider as well. A girl broke up with you on the text?
My last relationship was text message.
I knew you didn't tell me that.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, it was totally text message.
Oh my, wow.
It was pretty funny, actually. I laughed at it. But those are good points, though. I want to throw some stuff in there. One, we talked about breakups, but the first thing, make sure that you take care of yourself inside of the relationship. That individual that you're with should nurture the things that you do to take care of yourself. So if you take care of yourself inside a relationship, that breakup tends to be a lot easier as you go through it. And to Vicky's point, look at yourself. Take a hard look at yourself and ensure that everything is not, the person, they're not always toxic. They're not always a narcissist. Make sure you take a look at the way that you respond to things, how you handle things, how you react to things, how are you communicating? Be sure to kind of be a little more accountable with yourself too. Other than that, that's all I got for breakups.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys, that concludes what we have for episode number 8 of Breakups. Please be tuned. Next week, we are bringing back Soul Immortal for episode number 9, titled Entering Manhood, Part 1. It's going to be...
Yeah, y'all gonna love it.
You guys were there to see his former episode that he did with us called The Purpose Driven Man. Then you already know Soul does not come here to play. He's going to be dropping so many gems. Just please be here next week for that. So
one more thing too, if you guys can, please like, share this, the videos that we're going to post. It's going to be on my page. Share it. We are looking into options of us moving over to YouTube at some point. So if you could help us out, share this thing, like it, save it, all that good stuff that Instagram makes you do nowadays. We appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. You'll also find this episode on me and Derek's channel, Top Flight Fitness Gym, on YouTube as well.
Absolutely.
So, but as far as like the official channel that we'll be just putting everything on, that's still kind of up in the air. So just stay tuned. We'll let y'all know, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Love you guys. Have a great night. Bye.
See ya.